I'm 67 years old. Last week, I found a drawing my daughter made when she was 6. It's a crayon picture of our family, me in a suit, standing far away from everyone else. She drew me smaller than the dog. That's when I understood I destroyed my life at 30, and I've been paying for it ever since. I made 5 choices back then, 5 decisions that seemed smart, responsible, even admirable. Everyone told me I was doing the right thing. My parents were proud. My colleagues were jealous. But those 5 choices cost me everything that mattered. I'm telling you this because if you're in your 20s or 30s right now, you're probably making the same mistakes, and you won't realize it until it's too late. The first mistake, I chose money over time. When I was 30, I got offered a promotion, senior vice president, corner office, double the salary. There was just one catch. I'd be traveling 4 days a week. My daughter, Sarah, had just started first grade. My son, Tommy, was 3. My wife, Janet, looked at me when I told her about the offer, and I saw something flicker in her eyes. Fear, maybe, or resignation. I took the job anyway. I told myself it was temporary, just a few years to build our financial foundation. I'd make it up to them later. We'd take amazing vacations. I'd retire early. We'd have all the time in the world. But here's what actually happened. I missed Sarah's first piano recital. I missed Tommy learning to ride a bike. I missed birthday parties and school plays and Saturday morning pancakes. I was there for the big moments, Christmas, the occasional weekend, but I missed the small ones, the ones that actually build a life. By the time I realized what I'd traded, my kids were teenagers who barely knew me. Sarah stopped asking when I'd be home. That hurt more than if she'd screamed at me. Stop the video for a second. When's the last time you chose your family over work? Not because you had to, because you wanted to. Can you even remember? The second thing, God, this is hard to admit, I postponed joy. My wife wanted to go to Italy for our 10th anniversary. She'd been dreaming about it since college. The Amalfi Coast, the little towns built into cliffs, the lemon groves. She showed me pictures. She planned the whole trip in this notebook. I found it last year after she died, every detail mapped out. I said we couldn't afford it. We had a mortgage, college funds to think about, retirement. Let's wait a few years, I said. When we have more cushion. We never went. 20 years later, I could afford 10 trips to Italy. But Janet had stopped asking. The light in her eyes when she talked about travel, it just went out. She never mentioned it again. She died 3 years ago, pancreatic cancer. 6 months from diagnosis to, you know what her last words to me were? We should have gone to Italy. That notebook is in my desk drawer. I can't look at it without, what do you say to that? Sorry, honey, I was too busy being responsible. Here's what nobody tells you about postponing joy. That day never comes. There's always another bill, another reason to wait, another someday, and then someday runs out. How much of your life are you spending preparing to live instead of actually living? Be honest with yourself right now. The third mistake, I stayed in a job I hated for 23 years. I wanted to be an architect. I was good at it too. Won awards in college, had offers from firms I actually respected. But the money wasn't, predictable. My father said, get something stable. You have a family to feed. So I took a corporate job. Middle management at an insurance company, decent salary, good benefits, soul-crushing work. Every single morning for 23 years, I felt this weight in my chest driving to that office. I'd sit in the parking lot for 10, 15 minutes just trying to make myself go in. I told myself I was being practical, responsible, a good provider. But you know what? My kids didn't need a big house in the suburbs. They needed a father who wasn't miserable every waking hour. They needed someone who came home with energy, with life in him, not this hollow shell too exhausted to play. By the time I finally quit at 53, I'd forgotten how to dream. I'd become someone I didn't recognize. And my kids, they'd learned that work is something you endure, not something you love. I taught them that. Some of you are workaholics right now, 60, 70-hour weeks. You're telling yourself it's temporary. It's not. This is who you're becoming. The fourth one, I lived for other people's approval. My father was, he was a good man, but nothing I did was ever quite enough. And I spent 40 years trying to prove something to him. The promotion, that was for him. The house, him. Every decision filtered through, what would Dad think? He died when I was 57. At his funeral, I realized he was never going to say he was proud of me. Not because he wasn't, I think he was in his way, but because that's not who he was. And I'd wasted decades chasing words he couldn't say. But here's the thing that really kills me. I did the same thing to my son. I was so busy seeking my father's approval that I never told Tommy I was proud of him. Not in a way that mattered. And now he's 42, and we barely talk. And I see him doing the exact same thing with his kid. 3 generations of men who can't tell each other what they feel because we're all too busy pretending we don't need to hear it. How much of your life are you spending trying to impress people who wouldn't show up to your funeral? And the 5th choice? God. I didn't say what mattered when it mattered. I never told Janet I was sorry, not really. Not for Italy. Not for the 23 years of being a ghost in my own house. Not for choosing work over her 1,000 times. I thought we had time. I thought there'd be a moment, when everything slowed down and I could finally, fix it. But life doesn't work like that. She got sick so fast. 6 months. And those 6 months were hospitals and treatments and pain. And there was never the right moment to say, I'm sorry, I wasted our life. I held her hand when she died. She was 61 years old. The last thing I said to her was, I love you. And she said, I know, but I wish we'd spent more time showing it. That was 4 years ago. I think about that sentence every single day. Here's what I've learned, and this is going to hurt to hear. You're choosing this right now, every day. You're choosing work over presence, money over memories, someday over today, and one day, and you don't know when, you'll run out of time to choose differently. I'm 67. I built a successful career. I have money in the bank. I own my house outright. And I would trade every single dollar, every achievement, every square foot of this empty house for one more Saturday morning with my 6-year-old daughter, for one trip to Italy with Janet, for one conversation where I told my son I was proud of him without making it weird. But I can't. You know what the brutal truth is? Most of you won't change anything after watching this. You'll feel something for 10 minutes, then go back to exactly what you were doing. You'll postpone that trip, skip that recital, stay in that job, keep chasing approval, stay silent when you should speak. Prove me wrong. Before you leave this video, I'm giving you a challenge. Answer this question in the comments. Which of these 5 mistakes are you making right now? 1. Choosing money over time. 2. Postponing joy. 3. Staying in work you hate. 4. Living for approval. 5. Not saying what matters. Type the number, just the number, and if you're brave enough, tell me what you're changing today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today. I'm reading every comment. I want to see how many of you actually do this. Hit subscribe if you want more of these real conversations, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. You know who I'm talking about. That friend who's working themselves to death, that family member postponing life. Send it to them. The clock's ticking. You don't have as much time as you think. That drawing of my daughter's, I keep it on my desk now. Me, standing far away, smaller than the dog. That's how she saw me when she was 6. She's 42 now. We talk once a month, maybe. Polite conversations. She has her own kids. I'm basically a stranger to them. You can't get the time back. So, what are you gonna do with yours?